Okay, ladies, we are live. Hey there, how y'all doing tonight?
Awesome.
Hi.
Hey, I'm so excited to have you, ladies. I so appreciate you guys being here. And thank you to our audience. Hopefully, everyone's getting a chance to come in. We're on LinkedIn tonight. We're live to LinkedIn and Facebook and to the YouTube. I've been putting it all over the place. So, hey, hopefully, some folks will join us. And I learned how to actually allow people to pop in as well and hop up on stage if they want to talk and ask questions. So, if I can really monitor two things at one time, then maybe we'll even try that tonight as well. But let's go ahead and get things started. So I am Joyce Johnson, founder, author, speaker, sales champion, and founder of Y Sales Network, I should say. And we host this webinar monthly. I appreciate you guys if you've been with us monthly and also for joining us today. Today's topic is all about starting a new business, old, new, or franchise. I was sharing with the ladies before we started that a lot of times when I'm having conversations with people, there's a question that's about starting a new business, transitioning from corporate life to entrepreneurship. How did I do it? What made me do it? You know, what process I took, what steps I took, best practices. And then also about being an author. That's the second one. So I really wanted to bring in some other entrepreneurs tonight to talk about entrepreneurship. You know, the Great Resignation was huge. A lot of people took that jump from corporate life to entrepreneurship. A lot of people quit their jobs, what they were doing, and not just people who were working, in corporate environments. People in a lot of different environments decided to do something different. And, just have what folks were saying quality of life because they realized that being at home and not going into work every day, they felt better. That's another webinar that we'll have to do. That's a different day, but they felt better. So I looked up some stats on it myself because so many people have been talking about it. And I noticed it said for 2021 that there was a 20% increase in people starting new businesses and filing applications. And when they say that 20% increase, I think there have to be even more because of the fact that a lot of people start businesses and they don't go and apply for DBAs. They don't create LLCs. They don't get corporations. And so if people are starting businesses and they don't do those things, there's no way really for our government and our economy to track who is truly a business owner. And I think that was also a challenge with finding who those businesses were that needed help once we were in that COVID space. But business growth has increased and it continues to increase. The Great Resignation is not only having people move from different corporate jobs and different roles, but it's also having people, many, many people leaving companies together, all together, and becoming consultants, becoming independent business owners, and some actually building big business. So, hey, as I say, let's talk about it. I want to have my audience introduce themselves to you tonight, and then we're going to talk about it. We're starting a new business, new, old, or franchise. So, Kim, welcome. Kim is coming in from South Florida. Hello, Kim. How are you tonight?
Yes.
Introduce yourself
Hello.
to our audience.
Thank you so much, Joyce, for having all of us to talk about this really important topic. My name is Kim Bonner. I own a company called New Day Consulting Systems. We've been in existence since 2013, and we focus on helping entrepreneurs move from startup to scale up, to move from a single location to multiple locations if that's what they choose. So that's what we do. And our niche is franchise development and scaling through kind of intellectual property licensing.
Mm, like that one too. I didn't have a question for that. Did I have a question for that? No, I didn't. I should have had a question for that. But hey, maybe
No,
we'll get to talk about
you've
it.
got plenty. You've got plenty.
I have plenty. Did I overwhelm you with my list?
No, you have plenty. Don't worry about it. You have plenty.
Okay, great. Hey, and that's why we do this once a month. So that we can continue to have the conversation. And then online with us also, we have the co-founders, business owners, two of my favorite business owners, business partners, the ladies from the Owner Finance Company, Jen and Valerie. Introduce yourselves and tell our audience about what you do.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us, Joyce. We're really happy to be on here with you and share our program with you guys. So, what we do is we help people who can't qualify for traditional financing. We help them buy the house. We started the company back in 2019, and we are going strong, tripling ourselves this year and seeing a lot of growth for the rest of the year and the years to come. So, we help people who can't qualify for traditional financing. So people who have bad credit, no credit, I-10, foreign nationals, self-employed, bankruptcies, anybody who is having trouble purchasing a house with through traditional financing, we buy the house for them and then we sell it back to them owner financing.
We also have an investment side of our program as well, which we don't do a lot of like marketing and advertising for, but that's basically how we fund a lot of our deals. So for any real estate investors out there, we also work with investors. So we mainly work with buyers, realtors, and investors.
Awesome. Awesome. I know that there's a lot of space for that. I mean, I've been connecting you guys. I connected you guys to a couple of realtor brokers actually that I know that their business can use that support because people have to get creative sometimes, and I love the fact that the owner finance opportunity is allowing people to get into homes. So thank you for what you do. So I sent you guys a list, and so you already know what that first question is. I want to ask each of you though. Starting with you, Jen. What made you want to become a business owner?
So there was, I think a lot of things go into it over time. As you go through your career steps, whatever that may be. For us, it was oil and gas, and it was going through different companies and seeing how the corporate world works, and deciding kind of what we liked and what we didn't like about that. For me personally, I've always had a passion about being an entrepreneur. I just never really knew what that path looked like. And so until I had started my career, I did sales for over 10 years. I was in oil and gas and some marketing sales. And after going through several years of being a salesperson, I realized I was really good with people. And I have always had a passion for entrepreneurship. And towards the end of my oil and gas career, I really started just kind of leaning towards that passion and what steps I needed to take to make that happen. So for me, becoming my own, business owner was just something I always wanted to do. And realizing how the corporate ladder kind of worked made me kind of pushed me that extra step to learn more about how to make it happen and take the steps to actually execute.
I love that. And then, as you build your own business and become big business, right? You have experienced corporate. And so some of the things that you want to take with you and some of the things that you don't as you build your business.
Absolutely. Some of those skills, I don't think that I would have been able to take the leap that I did into entrepreneurship had I not had those skills that, I learned for those years that I had in sales in the corporate world. So I do attribute a lot of, finding some of those hidden talents within me to working in the corporate world. And then as I got older, just, again, just going towards what made me happy, where more of my passion lied.
Absolutely. And Valerie, what did it for you? Did Jen just pull you into it? What happened?
Well, I mean, it's really our story is kind of crazy, but I think for me, it was a combination of things. Definitely some similar things as Jen, but definitely we met when we were in oil and gas sales. But before that, I had been in the corporate world before that, and then also in oil and gas sales. And I think a lot of it with the company I was with prior to oil and gas, once you get up to the top of those bigger companies and you really start to see what's going on and how, like, truly what's happening, at the upper high level management, it almost, for me, I kind of was like, you know what? I feel like I could do some of this. Like, it didn't seem as hard as you think of it when, you're in an entry level position or maybe just the account management position. And I got toward the top of one of my last companies and I was just like, wow, like there were a lot of things I didn't like that I was seeing. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this, a better way for employees like me. And so that, and then on top of, meeting Jen and her and I just really sharing, like, that's something that we can vision and we can do and we can see, and just us collaborating and bouncing those ideas off of each other. That's where our partnership really came into play. But, just meeting somebody who could really see some of those same things that I could see, and like, wow, this is something that I like seems more attainable than I like thought it was, and starting to view it like that. And then I think also just that dream of working for yourself, that passion of being able to work from your house and that freedom. And I think for me, that was just, I love traveling. I'm so passionate about it. And so I always was like, man, if I was able to do something from being able to travel, like that really played into it. And I think for both of us as well, just not wanting to spend all that time away from our families, being in oil and gas, you're on the road so much, and any sales
I
position,
know.
any
Yes.
sales position, you're really away from your family and on the road. And that was a really big part of it. And that was, I think, one of the biggest parts for Jen, but for me as well, you get tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on the road a lot. I told people it wasn't that big of a transition for me. Well, the transition for me during COVID was really, was just not being home, but being home so much, right? Because I worked from my home office for many years. And I always had the option just to go into the office building, wherever, what city I was in, or what have you, and visit people. Even when I went to Panama, I went to my corporate office in Panama City. And
Sounds
so,
horrible.
yeah. And so, but just being at home so much, right? Because as sales professionals, some of us, we spend a lot of times in, cars, trains, and planes.
Yep.
So, we're always on the move. And so that was really challenging. But to get to your point, though, when you're traveling to entrepreneurship and when you're your own boss, it's a little different, right? Because I actually did some traveling during COVID. And, actually, when the Bahamas closed their borders to the U.S., I was in the Bahamas, and they put all the Americans out. They're like, you don't have to go home, but you're getting out of here, basically. And they put us out. And so, but being on your own, traveling as a business owner is definitely, it's different from being in corporate and someone calling you. You have to go out and be somewhere. So, Kimberly, what did it for you? What made you take that leap into entrepreneurship?
I tell people all the time, it was a near-death experience. Literally. It was like, and it's when I start the conversation out that way, particularly for people coming out of COVID, it turns on a lot of lights for people, because I can connect to what people were feeling during the Great Resignation. Just to share a little bit of my story. In 2010, I went in for a routine surgery I was supposed to go in and out, one of those classic stories. Oh, no problem. Easy surgery. You'll be home that night.
Oh, no.
Well, guess what, folks? It was not to be. Part of the surgery was botched. I almost bled to death. The surgical team left in the middle of a snowstorm, left me in the hospital to basically die. And thankfully, that team got back. I had to go in for another surgery. I stayed in the ICU for about a week and a half, and then went home and was home for 3 months. And, during those moments, you start asking yourself, I remember when I was flat on my back thinking this might be the end. And I thought to myself, I don't want to die like this.
Not like this.
I have things, I have plans. I don't want to, this is not the way this story ends. And I remember saying that to my father, who's now deceased, and he looked at me because I kept saying that out loud to everybody. Like, this is not the way my story ends. So anyway, I fast forward. I sent the gentleman that I was working with at the time. He was a provost of a university. I actually was the executive director of something called the Center for Intellectual Property. So I was kind of the leader of an association of intellectual property managers that were all over the United States. So anyway, I sent him an email and I said, surgery did not go as planned. I almost died. It was very cryptic. I was using a lot of meds. I was halfway high. That was the only good part about the drama. So I was halfway high. I was like, it didn't go as planned, space. And I'm not going to be back in the office at the time, whatever. So anyway, hit send. Yeah, hit send. And I got this response from him. God bless his heart. God bless his heart. I got a response back from him within a few minutes, and it was very cryptic. It wasn't, "Oh no, that's horrible." It wasn't followed with a phone call, cards, anything. He basically said, "Well, I'll be happy to I'll be very pleased when you're back in the office. I'll be happy to see you back in the office. Best da 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 da."
Wow.
And I'm sure I'm trying to give that person the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure he did not mean it the way it was sent.
No.
But it made me really feel like my life and my talent and my gifts and my calling was meaningless. And at the point when I saw his email, that words that I kept saying in the hospital, "I'm not supposed to die like this." It like roared from my soul. Like, this is not how my story ends.
Wow.
And so at that point, I said to myself, I'm going to become a business owner. I've got to do something, because there's no way I'm going to continue.
You said, not my story, not my time. Right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no way I'm going to continue this. So anyway, fast forward, a gentleman who knew me in the community, he had owned a Kumon franchise system, and he was looking to expand it throughout. He was looking to actually really expand it throughout Virginia, Maryland, DC. And he was also looking to diversify his portfolio and do some different things. And so he knew my IP background. He knew my legal background. He was like, "I want to pull you into this." To make a long story short, I got a taste of that. And I realized that, not to sound overconfident, but that I could produce a better service and a better product than a lot of the people that were the competition out there. And so in 2010, literally a few months after that crazy near-death experience, I started this part-time. And in 2013, I started it full-time. And the rest, as they say, is history. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done. I don't want to glamorize it and say that it's not. It's the hardest thing I have ever done. But it has been by far the most satisfying thing I have ever done.
And I agree. It's so hard. I agree.
Amazing story.
What's that, ladies?
That's an amazing story.
It is an amazing story. And, and it's just like they say all the time, you have to take that time to take care of yourself, because someone else will be sitting at your desk that next day, right? Filling that role and getting things done. And so it's important that you take care of you. And I wanted to say to you also, for this year, it's definitely the year of the woman for Y Sales Network. And so the theme of it is, it's our time, right? It's our time. And Jen and Valerie and had dinner with us, because I've been doing these women entrepreneurship dinners here in Houston to build relationships and build a sisterhood, a cohort of women entrepreneurs. So I want to say to you, it's okay to sound overconfident. As women, we always apologize. You don't have to apologize right here. Okay.
I agree. But I'm glad I can say that but everyone is not as affirming as you are. Everyone is not as affirming, but I appreciate that. I agree.
Yeah, it's okay to say that here, right? That you can provide a better service, because it is what it is. Right? And
I agree.
when I'm coaching people, not to get too far off topic, but I'm coaching people about resume writing and putting their bios and things together. And it's been said, a lot of times as women, we talk about our roles and responsibilities of what we've done. But men on their resumes, you get it's like, oh, I led the world. I was the top guy. That company wouldn't have survived without me, and nothing against our men, but, and so as women, we've got to learn to own our greatness.
I completely agree with you, Joyce. Were you a former athlete?
No, I'm not. No, I've just worked a lot with athletes. Yeah.
Okay, because my mother was, and my mother had that chutzpah. And she was a coach like you. She should have been in sales. And as I was making this transition, she would say things like that to me all the time. She would be like, you got to own this. You're the best. My mother could have been a female Muhammad Ali. She was like, I'm the greatest of all time. And because I'm the greatest, you got to be the greatest, Kim. And I was like, okay.
Absolutely. There's an article out there that quotes me. They're saying, well, when did you, have a changing, experience in your corporate life? And I said, one day I was in one of the branches. I'm talking to this guy. He's asking me all these questions. He's questioning my everything, right? And I just looked at him. I'm like, look at me. I'm like, and I'm here. I wouldn't be here looking like I do. And, as a woman, African-American, whatever person called, if I wasn't damn good. And when I realized that I was damn good, things changed. When I had that moment, things changed, Kim. Things changed. And so, and just to throw a stat out, most, I can't remember the percentage now, but a lot of female CEOs did play team sports of some kind. So that's why your mom was there. So, Kim, tell us really fast about why franchising for individuals. I know we have so many franchises all around us. Most of them are fast food right here in Houston, ladies. But why franchising as an option? Why do you think so many people choose franchising when they're getting ready to start a business?
Because starting a business is very hard from scratch. Mm-hmm. And so if you are doing a very traditional startup, like doing something that's never been done, or even if it's in a space that's been done, let's say it's pizza or burgers, it's very hard to get to build something out of nothing from scratch, where you're building the systems and you're developing the recipes and you're doing the training and you're building the brand. And so the beauty of franchising is that you are in business for yourself, but not by yourself. You are buying into a system, and not all franchises are worthy, quite frankly. But the best of them that I've had the pleasure of working with, some of the best, is that they continuously refine their product, their service offering, their branding, and their marketing, and they have perfected that to a certain degree. And so for that fee and that royalty, you are getting kind of a perfected product or service, and for a lot of people, it's worth it.
Yeah. Hope you guys can hear that. I live off of the smallest, little quietest, little side street. But whenever the train goes by, everyone, comes down this way to avoid the train. So hope our audience is not hearing all that feedback. Yeah. And that's true, because I think you already have processes in place. I'm a big advocate of buying an existing business. And I looked at that before I was starting my business. And the very reason I want to do that is because someone's already done it, right? And I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. I didn't have to go, I wouldn't have had to go and create processes and automation and things. And, as Jen Valerie was saying, working in a corporate space, we learn these things, right? And so, I tell customers all the time when they're selling, if you want to sell the big business, you have to understand how big business does business, right? And you have to align your business, that same way. So it's challenging when you start a new business and you're bidding on a state contract or a large opportunity. And they're like, oh, well, what's your process for this? And you're like, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, well, let me fix that tomorrow, right? And let me go figure that out tonight. I just can't sleep. And for those of you listening, that's a very real thing, right? That is a very real thing, because I'm bidding on a large opportunity now that I have, and I'm thinking, what processes am I going to create? How are they going to enroll in my online university just for that particular very large customer? How are we going to track things? And so that's very much a reality. So I do think that brings a lot of value with franchising and also buying existing businesses. So, ladies, you guys decided to start a new venture. Yeah, I know the story, but our audience doesn't know the story. But you guys decided to start a new venture where you have to, like we say, create all those processes and things yourself and do a lot of that work. Why did you decide to take that launch? Did you look at an existing business before, or that this was the opportunity just so great you decided to go with the new business?
Yeah, really, I think for us personally, the opportunity presented itself and was so great, and that's why we finally ended up making the jump. It really was. We were just so sick of the jobs that we were doing before, and so sick of the industry that we were in, and had shared, our passions for wanting to do entrepreneurship and real estate. And when we finally got fed up enough with what we were doing, which this was before COVID, but when we finally got fed up enough with what we were doing, we said, you know what, let's explore this passion further. Let's explore this interest that we have further and just see what comes of it. And so we just started going to anything we could get our hands on, networking events, classes on nights and weekends, and anything real estate related that we could. And after doing that for so long, we just started learning and meeting people and putting ourselves around the people that were actually doing the things that we wanted to learn about or that we wanted to know about. And as we started doing that, the months went by, and the more people that we were meeting, and we started throwing our own real estate events before we even had a company. And it was crazy. And, then we were introduced to our partner. He was mentoring us, and eventually, just said, hey, I have this idea, but no idea how to make it come to fruition. Like, would you guys want to do it? And that was all it took. That was all it took for us to say, yep, we sure do. And, the next week we were creating our LLC and quitting jobs and all the things. But wow. I mean, it took time for us to actually make the launch, those months, going up to it. But really for us, that was how it actually happened, from, thinking about it and should we do it to really truly pulling the trigger and just jumping right in.
Right. I love that you ladies, like you put it in your universe, right? You put it in your personal universe, you kind of manifest it, and you started, like you said, throwing these events for real estate, and you hadn't even gotten into real estate yet. And so, but you're like, oh yeah, we do this. We know what we're doing. Come to our event, right? I just think that's the most amazing thing.
I want you guys to unpack that. I'm serious, because that is a gem. That is a gem that a lot of business owners knew. Whether you want to do a startup or you want to own it, people don't understand the critical nature of that network, the networking, and the flywheel effect that can build, the momentum that it can build for you. So can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So it kind of started a little before that. So we were traveling together when oil and gas, when it kind of plummeted. We teamed up. We had the same customers, but we're working for different companies. So we teamed up, we flew and drove everywhere together. So we covered, a lot of the US, and we were on our own. So when we were on those 8-hour drives, to Midland with no service, we had a lot to talk about. And that's how we kind of got to know each other and what our passions were. And we both kind of kept bringing up real estate. So, one day I picked her up for a long ride to Louisiana, and she had a book with her, and it was about foreclosures and Section 8 housing. And she started reading to me. We didn't have service, so we couldn't, listen to anything on the road. So she started reading books to me. When we had service, we were listening to podcasts, but it really wasn't until, we had Saturday and Sunday, generally speaking, those were pretty much the only days we had to really focus on anything other than our normal jobs. And so we started, we were like, well, there's all these different things. Like, we don't know what we want to do. So let's go see what the people who are doing them, how they're feeling, getting feedback on fix and flippers, wholesalers, landlords. We thought we wanted to be Section 8 landlords. It turns out we don't. And
Well, for now
we don't. Turns out we don't for now. But we didn't realize how many facets there were of real estate. So we started holding these weekly, every single Wednesday after work, we would do wind down Wednesdays. And so at the time, we were holding it at the rooftop of an apartment complex. And we ended up, we had 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. We did this for 2 months, and it started in July, right? So we did it, right? It was around,
maybe 3 or 4 months.
Maybe it was 3 or 4 months
like
that
3
we
or
did
4
it.
months.
Yeah, it was 2 months after we met Mark that we started the company.
Yeah.
So we did this for a few months, and we outgrew it. And we were getting in trouble with the apartment complex. The last wind down Wednesday we had all sorts of people from the real estate community that we were learning from. That's
who we were inviting.
We were providing some entertainment for them. We had drinks and we had a DJ and some appetizers, but really we were inviting them to our party so that we could learn from them. Mm-hmm. And it was at one of these events that we met our now partner Mark, and he started mentoring us, like she said, and we started going to events with him and learning a lot of different things that he was doing. He'd done everything from building hotels to subdivisions to he was a landlord at the time. He was sick and tired of being a landlord and wanted the passive residual income, but he did not want to deal with the headaches of having all of these rentals, where he really was losing money on a lot of them at the end of each month. So he came up with this concept where, it's a win for buyers to be able to provide them with homes that they can actually own, where they own the deed to the property, not just renting it and throwing away money. Provide the cash flow that's consistent and residual for him as an investor. And then for realtors, provide them an alternate financing option for those buyers that are coming to them and they can't help them. So when he, after a couple of months of doing our events and him getting to know us and us networking with him and all of his network and just the people we had, met through our event, we wind down Wednesdays, he came to us at the very last event that we held before we got kicked out of the apartment and asked us if we were interested in partnering with him on this. And we were both in full-time oil and gas jobs. So we took the leap of faith, which there's a lot of fear in that. I think being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of challenges in overcoming that fear of what if it doesn't work out. I'm sorry, I think our light went out. She's going to plug us in so we don't lose you guys. But that's really where the story, starts and not ends. We don't see it ending for a very long time, but That's kind of where, how we got to where we are today to make that decision to move forward, to start the LLC. So the second we committed with Mark, he's a go-getter. He's quick. So he was ready, the following week. At the next, Wednesday meeting that we had, he was, mentoring us. He said, let's do it. Let's start the LLC and let's get this puppy going. And so we did. And that was in November of 2019, November the 2nd. And we closed we had a goal of closing 10 deals our first year, which was 2020. So going into COVID, it was, we were nervous about it. We ended up closing 42 deals our very first year. Our first deal closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
December 31st, and now we're over 100 deals and, we're growing. We're, like I said, we're tripling what we did. So we've been able to help so many people by making the decision to become entrepreneurs and to leave the fear behind and to, if we failed today or tomorrow, I still feel like we would do it again. We would start another company because we've learned so much about just the advantages and the benefits, not just for us in our personal lives, but how we've been able to help other people, not, people who can't get into homes, people we're hiring and providing jobs for. And so it's brought so much fulfillment to our lives. And I mean, that's kind of unpacking a lot of the story, but that kind of brought us to where we are today. And we're just, really always thrilled to share our story with people who are in the same positions that we were, and just, not knowing if it's going to work out or not. And if it doesn't work out, you're going to learn something.
You got win or learn, right? Not
That's
fail, win or learn. And I love that you said, you have to work through the fear, right? Because it is scary. And I think that fear, holds a lot of us back from many things, right? And so we have to be able to push through the fear component of it. And, I have a quote that people use, and they put it out a lot, that I've said before, is that I know what it is to be afraid and fearless at the same time.
Yep.
Right.
That's basically what you ladies are describing, right?
Yeah.
You're afraid, or you're like, let me throw the cape on and
it's scary. It's scary, but there's like something burning inside you, which I think is probably what Kim was feeling with her experience. Like, it's so scary, but there's something inside you that outweighs that fear.
It outweighs that fear. It's something weighing heavy on you that outweighs that fear, right? Something weighing heavy on you. Thank you for sharing that story, because I love it.
It's awesome.
And the whole
I
network.
don't think we ever get tired of telling it.
No, because it's so awesome.
It really does. It makes us laugh.
It's so awesome. And, and that's what I share all the time when I'm talking about networking and coaching people about networking. It's so important to make a connection. Just don't go somewhere with the intent to get as many cards as possible or talk to as many people as possible, but someone that, find those people that you actually make a connection with, that the next day they remember who you are. They're willing to refer you to someone, willing to, refer someone to you. And that's the connection you guys made with Mark.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
It's providing value. I think the best relationships that we've made, we've kept, and that we've continued to make are where we're providing value.
Yeah.
And they're also providing value. And that just, it makes you want to surround yourself more with those people and help them build their network, like you have done for us as well.
Absolutely.
Joyce.
Oh, thank you. Stop it. Stop it.
We are a champion of people, and we believe in them.
And that's what we have, what we have to do. And I think, sometimes big business lose sight of that. I used to share one of my larger companies I worked for in the past, with some startups came to us and wanting help. And I said, look, if we don't support them while they're small, when they get big, and they will, they're not going to partner with us no matter what we do.
You never forget people who were there for you. You really don't. And I don't, and that's one of the motivators for me during the pandemic to do outreach to mom and pop restaurants that were struggling, because like you, Joyce, I know that those restaurants that survive, and if they decide to scale and become franchises, they're going to be unstoppable because of the hell that they went through.
They've already been through. Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So, for the entrepreneurs out there, people who are interested in starting a business, like I said, people ask me about it all the time. It's just one of those questions that come up consistently. What is, one thing that you recommend, Kim, they can do for their due diligence in preparation to becoming an entrepreneur, business owner?
Honestly, they got probably one of the best lessons from our colleagues, the owners of the owner finance company. The development of the network is so very critical, because in that network, you're possibly going to find a business partner like you guys did. In that network, you're going to possibly find a funder, an angel that's going to write your first critical check. In that network, you're going to find the critical people that are going to be part of your team, right? So they just gave a masterclass as to like that. And it's funny, as people think, well, does this apply in franchising? And I tell people all the time, there's a hidden rule, and it's not going to be hidden after I share it. But the best franchisees have two things. A lot of people think it's, they've got big net worth. No, the best franchisees have an incredible network upon which to draw. So they can get the talent, or they can get the funding, or what have you. They can get customers through that network. And they know how to manage people. They have a very strong, management skill or EQ skill. If they have those two things, they probably have access to the capital. Like, they literally probably can access the capital. And most people think it's the opposite. Most people think that, the best franchisees are the people that can write the checks. That is not necessarily the case. The best franchise people are people who know how to work with people well, get the best out of people, and have vast, rich, and wealthy networks.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. I was in a clubhouse room last week or so, and the guy said, wow, I think we have $1 billion on the stage tonight. And I'm like, whoa, let me start looking at profiles and like,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, he said we have $1 billion
Wow.
on the stage tonight. And I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. And, and it's so true about in these networking spaces, right? I've had people look at replays of these webinars and things and ping me and get on calls with me and, and ask me questions or what have you. And so it's just about expanding that, continuously expand that network, over and over and being intentional about it, right? And when you're intentional, really making those connections and finding out who people are and, how you can support them. In a lot of ways, once you support someone, they're going to, support you. And you just build, like I said, looking to, for this year, just building a cohort of women and entrepreneurs. And, we're going to go to the Bahamas, have a whole lot of fun. And, we're going to, study some too, but we'll have a lot of fun. And so, but just really want to build a cohort of women that can help other women, inspire other women, and share what we're learning in this space as entrepreneurs, so that we don't all feel so lonely and feel like we're on an island. And that's another reason we're having this webinar today, so that we can share our experiences, our talents, and resources with other people. So with that said, what are some resources or resource you ladies recommend that people interested in doing what you do or starting a business period should look into?
I would say, a great starting place is just, reading, just getting your hands on some literature and podcasts over, the last few years is really skyrocketed, but you can find a podcast on anything. But I think that's a great starting place, just to, start educating yourself. But one thing to keep in mind that I think was, important for us, and a lot of the books we read talked about it too, is, understand when you're getting to, they call it analysis paralysis, where you're just reading too much and listening too much and not actually taking the next step. And so I think like educating yourself is a really, really great starting place. It helped us learn terminology so that when we did start going to the networking events, we could at least know one or two words that meant stuff. But that's a great starting place. And then, yeah, I would say really, again, just the networking, and a big part of the networking, at least for us, and I think for a lot of people we've met, is finding a mentor, because they will help it be less scary, because they will be able to teach you those things that you don't know, like the really little things, that are so scary for you, but in the grand scheme are little, but they're scary for you. That's where a mentor really comes in. And our partner, Mark, that's our partner now, he was our mentor. And I think we had a few others too, maybe, but I think finding a mentor, and, those mentorships go both ways. So it's like when you're at those networking events, talking about how you're new and what you want to bring to the table and all of that, it's important, because that will help you find a mentor, because mentors are looking for people who are hungry, people who have the energy, people who are new, people who they can teach, right? Like that you're a benefit to them, because they're looking for somebody like you, somebody to come in and do some of the grunt work and help them in the stage of where they're at. So I think one of the best tools for us for sure was finding a mentor.
I agree with that, because, you don't know what you don't know. And if you find someone that knows it, it'll help you get through a lot of humps and get past making a lot of mistakes that you don't have to make, right? Because you have someone to go to as an advisor, right? And I think, when you're in this entrepreneur space too, it's just important because our mistakes normally cost a lot of money.
Yeah, they do.
Definitely.
That thought right there. So, if you can find a resource to go to and, like you said, read and educate yourself on, different processes and information. I was sharing with someone that I'm not interested at all at doing my own marketing and social media, but I purchased one of those small packages from Grant Cardone on his marketing and media because I want to understand, again, how big business does it, right? I don't think too many people spend as much money on marketing and advertising as he does. And so I want to be able to understand how, that works. And so where you have people telling you, oh, you post too much. He's like, when they told him he posts too much, he started posting more. And he said, the more he posts, more people liked it and more people started to engage with his business. And so I was like, oh, okay. So it is okay to do that. It's not, well, it may be annoying, but it's profitable. You sort of have to weigh it out from there. But Kim, any resources or recommendations that you have for our audience?
And can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. There are a lot of different resources, but and I don't and I'm hesitant to give one because everyone is so different, right? What I would say is there are resources like SCORE, which is a free resource out there that have retired, corporate executives, and some SCORE chapters are absolutely wonderful. And so if you are a baby entrepreneur and you're trying to do it from scratch, that's a wonderful resource that should exist in every community. There are universities that have small business development centers and women business centers and minority business centers. These are really wonderful resources as well. A lot of your cities right now, because of COVID, are sitting on grants. They're sitting on money that a lot of people don't know about, and they don't know because they don't ask. And so if you are thinking about taking the plunge, knock on or, send emails to various, leaders in your city and ask them, what are the resources that you have for me? There's a lot out there. You're just going to have to do kind of the knocking on the doors and sending emails and picking up the phone. Lastly, one of the most important things I think that you can do is a critical self-assessment, because this is not for everyone. And if you can be easily moved, like after a conversation with me or Joyce, you can be easily moved from not being an entrepreneur, it's probably not something that you should do. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. If Elon Musk tells you starting a business is like eating glass and walking on glass, and that's Elon Musk. That's Elon Musk, this is going to be the hardest thing you ever do. But you have to know that it's something that you're born to do, that you're gifted to do, you're talented to do, and the world needs whatever you are birthing out in your business. And you have to be persuaded of that. Because if you're not, it's just too difficult. There are going to be very difficult seasons. I remember during COVID-19, and I'll close with this, I had just relocated. My father had passed away. My mother was getting sick. We were concerned that she was going to pass away. I had my base. My business was started in the DC area. And because of a family emergency, I had to pick up very quickly and moved down to deal with a very difficult situation with my mom. And then COVID hits. I felt like somebody took 2 bricks and went like this. Bing, 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 bing. It was horrible. You know how people say, Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face?
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I could,
Yeah.
you know, it was hard. So, but I'm here, I'm on the other side. Things are going much better, but you've got to, and I don't know can you guys still hear me? Cause I feel
Yeah, we still hear you. Yeah, absolutely.
It's, if you can be persuaded easily to not be an entrepreneur, then this might not be for you. And being an employee with great benefits and stock options might be great. And there's nothing bad with that. And I just wanted to kind of in there. That self-assessment is critical.
Right. And I think the self-assessment is important too, and even when people I'm talking about being real estate investors and things. And I used to tell people sometimes, like, you're not cut for that. And they're like, why? Why do you think I can't be an investor? And I'm like, because all of your investments are in safety things, right? You don't take any risk. This is a high risk decision, right? You can walk away without anything, and have to start over. I've done it before, been there, done that. You can walk away without anything and have to start over and reinvent yourself. Right. And so like you said, you have to know that you cut for it. And so it's kind of like with anything, just not even become an entrepreneur. You want to be an investor and different things. It's just, you have to make sure and knowing who you are and taking those I love those personality assessments and things. We use the DISC assessment in my sales boot camp that I do. And we've talked about those in detail. You have to really know who you are at your core, and you have to truly understand your why. And like you said, if you have something that you feel that the universe needs from you. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. One other question before we wrap up. Just wanted to have something lighter and fun. What I asked you guys, what do you know for sure, right? About business or life, and that it's kind of like something that you would tell your younger self about where you are now. Jen, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Something I would tell my younger self would be what I tell my son is to not waste time. If you know that you're interested in something, like Valerie was saying, if there's something that pulls you in a certain direction, explore that when you're young, because 10 years flies by. Right now I'm in the process, and she is too, with her younger sister, of teaching them what we wish someone would have taught us when we were their age. So I think just follow those intuitions, surround yourself with the right type of people, and if you're doing that, then you're truly following your heart, and God will give you direction, and you will be able to explore those God-given talents like Kim was talking about, and they will shine through if you're following your path the way that you should. So I think just really listening to yourself, knowing yourself, like Kim said, and asking advice, and just not being scared to change direction. If maybe college isn't for you, or maybe the 9-to-5 isn't for you, and you're feeling that when you're 21 or 22, then talk to somebody, explore that, and don't be scared to take a different path. We're always encouraging that, with her sibling and my son, and just teaching them as much as we can, so that they're not just starting their businesses when they're our age, that they've already got their businesses going, and they're growing, and they're continuing to learn, and not just one path is not the only path. Maybe it is for some people, but just following that drive, if you feel it inside you, you won't be able to keep it in forever. So may as well let it out earlier than too late.
Get it out. Do the Michael Jackson, rah, just get it out, spit it out, get it out.
Get it out. Yeah,
Get it out. Right? Thank you for sharing, Jen. Valerie?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, we talked about this before the podcast, or before this, and yeah, just really just like exploring those paths and seeing. I mean, really everything that she summed up was really the best advice that we would give to somebody. Just wondering is just think about it. And if you explore it, the worst case scenario, you're going to learn something, but just being aware of how fast time goes and how much opportunity is out there. There is so much opportunity in our world, so much opportunity, and you can stumble on it and it could be the best thing that ever happened to you. So, just exploring your world.
And if anyone wants to come explore the world with us, we always welcome people from all industries to come to our events, because you never know who you're going to meet.
Yep.
And so we do hold, I was telling Joyce at the beginning, we do hold a monthly event every month. It's the second Thursday of every single month at McIntyre's in the Heights. We usually have anywhere from 200 to 400 people all across the industry, and people from the bar. It's open, so they wander in. And so, we've made connections with people that aren't even real estate related at our own event, that we found opportunities with. So just don't be afraid to explore. And if you are, and if you're alone, you don't have a partner to step out with, you can always come join us every single month, the second Thursday at McIntyre's in the Heights. Come introduce yourself. Tell us, where you saw us, and we'd love to help you meet people and get your name out there.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for sharing that, ladies.
Thank you for having us, Joyce. And it was wonderful hearing your story, Kimberly.
Yeah. Thank you. Same here.
Kimberly, what are you telling your younger self?
Oh, man. Mindset is everything. And once you shift your mind, you really do shift your world.
Yeah.
And the things that I believed about my capacity as a young person, I wish there was I had a mentor when I was younger that was kind of like Dikembe Mutombo, who blocks the shots.
Yeah.
And could just swat those crazy things away and say, no, that's not the truth about you or your capacity. So beliefs birth behavior. And what you fundamentally believe about what is possible or impossible for you will definitely manifest. And then, that's the thing. And I was a perfectionist. I was afraid to make a mistake. But I realized that if you're going to do something great and create, and this I learned from inventors, if you're going to create something, you have to be willing to make a mistake.
Wow. Yeah. I just put on there, I've been doing a horrible job at putting things in chat. I normally have someone on here that's putting a lot of things in there, but belief first behavior, I really like that. And, I think you have to, your belief system is everything, right? And I shared in this group, I guess it's been maybe a month now or so ago, and they were saying, what do I know for sure? What do you know for sure? And, and I said, I really know for sure that if you have a great foundation of family and faith, that you will be okay, right? And so that faith part comes to your belief system, your belief system.
It's critical.
And so it is critical. It's critical. Love that. So I guess I would have to share something, right? You guys can hold me to that. Let me see. I think I would tell the young Joyce, I just thought about this a little earlier, is, don't lose your fire. Protect your fire. Protect your fire. Facebook gives you those things that you posted years ago and things like that. And I found one scan through the other day, and it says she remembered who she was and the game changed. She remembered who she was, and the game changed.
Love that.
Yeah. Remember who you are, you know, and protect your fire. So that would be it for me. Ladies, I so appreciate you guys. I am going to, let me see here. We have your names here, but I want you guys just to go around really fast and tell people how they can reach out to you, how they can find you, if that's your social, email, a company 800 number, or what have you. Kim, kick us off. And how can people find you?
You can look at my name right there, Kimberly Marie Bonner, and you can get me on LinkedIn. We can link up on LinkedIn, or you can go to my website, newdayconsultingsystems.com, and we can connect there.
Awesome. Jen, Valerie.
You can find us on all social media networks at The Owner Finance Company. And then our emails are Jen or Valerie at The Owner Finance Company. Our phone number is 281-508-0013. So we're really easy to find. If you just type in theownerfinancecompany.com, that's our website address. And then, of course, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram are all at The Owner Finance Company.
And I can't type fast enough here to put this in, but I'll try to put you guys things in. ownerfinancecompany.com. I'll look at that.com. And okay, what happened? It didn't like hit to go up. Joyce, user error. Okay, well, you know, we'll put it inside the chat post on the actual social networks. And so for me, thank you, ladies, so much. I so appreciate your time and value your time. I appreciate getting to know you, ladies. You know, for those of you in our audience and watching a replay, we haven't known each other a very long time, but we're beginning to build a sisterhood, and we're beginning to build this cohort of women in entrepreneurship. And I only had to ask each of these ladies one time, would they do this? And they were like, oh, yeah, of course, right? And so you begin to build that type of support system. And I really, really appreciate it. You don't know how much I appreciate it, because I believe in, as I always say, inform, educating, and engaging our audiences. And I believe that anytime we put this information out and we share openly and honestly with people, that someone learned from it, someone benefits from it, and someone moves forward because of it. So thank you very much for being here tonight and for sharing your stories. With that said, I am Joyce Johnson, founder of Wise Sales Network. You can find me at I am Joyce Johnson on all the social channels, Twitter, Facebook. LinkedIn even allowed me to do I am Joyce Johnson now. I don't know if you guys know that LinkedIn allows you one time to personalize your handle now. And so I'm now I am Joyce Johnson on LinkedIn as well. Instagram, also I am Joyce Johnson. So you can find me there. DM me. Really, if you're going to send me notes, then probably do LinkedIn, or you can go through Joyce at IamJoyceJohnson.com and send me a note. So love to hear from you. Love to see how we can support. I also host a room every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. to 9:30 Central Standard Time on Clubhouse, titled Morning Sales Tips, to help you start your day. If your day got started early and someone derailed you and you had a bad note, hop on Clubhouse at 9 o'clock. Let me help you redirect and reset so you can go out and have an amazing day. So there with Michael C. Clark, who's a personality pitch consultant. He co-mods that room with me. Also there every Wednesday at 1 o'clock in a women's only room, where the whole concept of the room is just women business owners getting together and talking about tactics and things. And the theme of it is don't give up. So we held that room today. You can also go and listen to the replays of that. So thank you guys. You find us, get me again at I am Joyce Johnson, also at Wise Sales Network. Thank you, thank you, thank you. April, April put on here, so I feel so educated. Thank you everyone for your stories are very inspirational. So there you have it. Right? There you have it. You guys, everyone have a great night, and thank you for your time.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.